CommuteInfo. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. For viewers at home who may not know, what is CommuteInfo?
Let me tell you about CommuteInfo.
All right.
CommuteInfo is a nonprofit program of the Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission. We've been around for over 40 years, providing services to the region to help individuals find other individuals to share their ride with so that they can save the cost of commuting, they can get to different places to get to their jobs, and to provide the service to the folks in the region trying to get to work.
Yeah, so if I'm, somebody in Pittsburgh trying to get somewhere, maybe it's partnering me up with somebody. Is that how it works?
Exactly. I like to talk about the program. It's like a dating service for commuters. So we're trying to help individuals find other individuals who are making a similar commute and help them make connections with each other.
So what all is included with that? Like what kind of services do you offer to people?
Okay. The first service that we offer is the matching service, that people are able to call us and request a report. They can also go to our website and to fill out a very simple form where they're going to answer where they live, where they work, the times that they need to travel, and how we can get in touch with them. It's really that simple. Yeah. And then we put them into this magic database and we push a button and out comes a report. Yeah. And the report that they get tells them about the transit opportunities that are available, whether there's other people that they can carpool with, if there's van pools available, as well as some biking options too. And so the whole process from start to finish, number one, doesn't cost them anything to get the information, and it really gives them sort of a menu of options that they can work from and to decide what they would like to do.
Right, like you said, essentially dating service style for a commute, so partnering people up and helping that way.
Exactly, dating style service, just no dinner, no movies, just commuting back and forth.
Just the drive to the date.
Just the just the drive, yeah.
What is your guys' general service area? CommuteInfo covers a pretty big region.
Right, yeah, the Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission's region is 10 counties. So we start in Lawrence County in the northwest over to Indiana, down through Washington and Greene. So sort of the whole corner of the state. And then anybody who lives there, works there, or goes to school there is eligible for our service. So we have some people that live in the Steubenville, Weirton area who travel into downtown Pittsburgh, and since they're coming in, they're eligible. We have people traveling from Greensburg to Cranberry. We have people going from Pittsburgh to Wheeling, so it's a large area.
Yeah. And a lot of people, I'm sure, that get matched up through the program.
There's a lot of people, and actually when we start to look at, we have a 10 county area, but we actually get requests from over 29 counties. So wow. There's a lot of people looking to either come in or they're traveling throughout that area.
Wow. And CommuteInfo is a nonprofit, correct?
Correct.
So how does that work with the services you guys provide?
Well, the nonprofit, like I said, has been around for a long time, and part of what we do is to present a menu of options. Our role is not to tell somebody, you need to do this or you need to do that. It's to say, here's some choices that are available to you. I really like to think about it as a menu, like you go into a restaurant and you get a menu, and here are the 5 different choices that are available to you. You read a little bit about what they are, and you see a price that's associated with it. Very similar with what we do, that we help people understand, and I'll talk a little bit about each of those choices if that's okay for a minute.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We start with public transit and fixed route transit, and there are 11 fixed route transit operators in the region currently. And a lot of those transit operators operate local service in their own area, and also offer commuter services into downtown Pittsburgh and into Oakland. For many years, I lived in Westmoreland County and took Westmoreland County Transit from the Irwin area into downtown Pittsburgh for my job. Yeah. And so there are similar groups like that. And a lot of people just don't know that there are choices in public transit.
Right.
But for people who have flexible schedules and who really need some choice in terms of when they can travel, transit's going to be the best choice. Yeah. We also have a van pool service, which is unique because it's a group of people who travel, and it's smaller than a bus, so we're looking at 10 to 15 people together.
Right.
And those individuals are all volunteers who come together to do this. So
Oh, wow.
they actually lease a vehicle through our program, and so they have a vehicle, and they have the group that travels from point A to point B and then back again. And everything's included in the cost that they pay for that, and they get to share that cost. So the vehicle, the gas, the maintenance, the insurance, tolls, parking, all of those things are a lot cheaper when you're splitting them by 15 people than when you're paying it all yourself.
And you said that's a lease that people can sign up for?
It's a lease that people sign up for, and it's a 30-day lease, so it's a month to month. And but I'll tell you, we do talk about that with individuals, and people will say, "Oh, a month, that's not bad. I can do that." And that's true. And what's nice about that is that if it's not working, they can, end it after a month. But what we find is once people try it, they really like it. They continue on, and they sort of form their own little group. We've even had a wedding out of one of those vans where people. That's
very cool.
And they used one of the vans in their wedding. They had known each other as young kids, and one of them had moved away. They moved back into the same area and reacquainted on the van. And all those commuting miles together and sharing. And about a year later, they ended up getting married.
Oh, well, that's pretty awesome. That's, interesting story of how you guys brought two people together through transportation.
Exactly.
This is very cool. Maybe for some of our viewers at home who are in Moon Township, do you have a recommendation how maybe their transit would be?
Well, and I think for people in Moon Township, what I would encourage them to do is to get in touch with us and find out what their options are.
Yeah.
Because it's so unique to each person based on their work schedule, because some people are working 9 to 5, some are working 3 to 11, some are working overnight. So it's going to be dependent on their schedule. So they can get online at our website, which is just our name, CommuteInfo.org. Yeah, you got to remember the .org. They can call us at our toll-free number, which is 888-819-6110. In either way that they get in touch with us, we can get them the information that they're looking for.
Yeah, that's great. And it says that you guys also offer some assistance for people riding their bike to work, is that?
We do. And what's interesting about that, it's very similar to the way that the carpools work. And we talked a little bit about van pooling, and it's kind of big number of people.
Right.
Carpooling is a little bit smaller, where we have just 2 or 3 or 4 people who are sharing a ride. And the difference between the carpool and the van pool is that the carpool is in their own vehicle. So if you and I decide to carpool together, I may drive 1 week and you may drive 1 week. But it's in our own personal vehicles and not in a leased vehicle. And the same concept of the dating database of finding other connections is how we work with people who are interested in biking, where we have people in our system who said, I know how to bike, I use this as my commuting choice to get to where I need to go. And when somebody requests their report from us, they will see individuals who are already using bicycling as their way to work, and it'll have a note that says this person is willing to share their experience. Give them a call. They'll help you figure out how the route works, where to park, and some tips on how to do bike commuting.
Yeah, so almost like an assist program, really, for bicyclists who may not be commuting every day, kind of getting them more comfortable with saying, here's somebody who does it all the time. Is that kind of where it is?
Exactly. And then if those individuals decide they want to continue to share their ride every day, their bike ride every day, they can be formed as a bike pool, which is kind of cool. And I'm kind of glad you didn't ask that question first, because usually people will say, well, bike pool, do they ride the same bike to work? And I'd say, no. It's 2 individuals on their bikes individually traveling to their work or their school.
Right, and I'm sure, having somebody else ride alongside you is comforting, and, that way you at least have people going with you the same direction.
Exactly.
So let's say I sign up for CommuteInfo and I get a carpool ride to work and something happens and there's an emergency, because I'm sure that's a question you guys get a lot. What happens in those situations?
We do get that question a lot,
Yeah.
and is the exact reason why we have an emergency ride home service that is available for the people in our program who are carpooling, who are van pooling, and for some of the transit riders. And what it is a reimbursement program. So again, you and I drove in today together, and you got called that you have to go home.
Right.
Well, I need to get myself home at the
Yeah.
end of the day. So I can arrange for myself to get home. I can call a cab. I can rent a car. I can use another service, just depending on what works best. I get a receipt, and I submit that to the CommuteInfo program, and I
Wow.
get reimbursed for that.
Well, so you guys have, you take the concept of carpooling and commuting to, the major questions that people have about that are things like that, where the emergencies pop up, and it seems like you guys address that, very well.
We try.
Yeah.
We know that's the number one objection, that people, and the fear that, I'm going to be stuck. And we don't want anybody to feel like they're going to be stuck. We want people to know this is something they can try. And, we also really try to focus on letting people know that it's only twice a week that we're
Yeah.
talking about. And that still can be a significant savings for people in their commute. And I know a lot of people also wonder about the cost. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I know, driving a personal vehicle can be very expensive.
Yep.
People think about the gas, but they're not always thinking about the tires and the oil and the maintenance
insurance.
and the insurance and the depreciation and all those things. And by sharing a ride, a couple things, you can share all of those costs. You can also extend the life of your existing vehicle because you're not putting as many miles on it at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought our little famous piggy bank.
The CommuteInfo pig.
CommuteInfo pig. And you got to have a little humor in it.
Right,
And
right.
I also brought some money. Beautiful coins representing some of the costs. And one of the things that we find is that when people start to use transit, they're using van pools and carpools, they're biking to work, is they're saving a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I like to say with our CommuteInfo piggy bank is that they're saving so much money that it can't even fit into the bank because there's just so much of it. So cost is definitely a reason people are interested in learning more about what we do, and we like to let people know that there are ways to save. We even have a commute cost calculator on our website for people
Great.
who are thinking, well, maybe it would save me, maybe it wouldn't. They can go in and put their own commute information in, hit the button, and it will give them an estimate of how much they're going to save.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. And you talk about savings and carpool and public transportation. One of the other big factors with that is it's also environmentally friendly, and you're cutting down your emissions by, instead of 4 people driving to work in 4 vehicles, it's 4 people in 1 vehicle. So.
Exactly, and we work very closely with the Sustainable Pittsburgh's Green Workplace Challenge that they have going on throughout the region to encourage employers to cut the amount of emissions and greenhouse gases that are being emitted. And one of the ways that these companies can get points is by working with us. So even the township is working with us to be able to get some points. So there really is a lot of opportunity. And the other thing, and even in addition to the sustainability aspect of it, if there's less vehicles on the road, there's less wear and tear, maybe less traffic, maybe less potholes being generated. Not sure we can guarantee that in this kind of weather,
Right.
but definitely a lot less use of the roads.
Yeah, and CommuteInfo, I know we spoke earlier, is something that you've been a part of for a while now, and I'm sure if you'd like to talk about that a little bit and how you kind of got started with CommuteInfo and those kind of things.
Sure. I've been with CommuteInfo almost 12 years, and I first came to the program not really knowing a lot about what it did. I mean, in my personal life, I had carpooled and things like that without even knowing it was like a thing that you
Yeah.
could do. And I saw the vans around and didn't really know that. But one of the things that's really impacted me since I've been there is the people. And we have this toll-free number out there, and we get calls from individuals all the time. And it's really interesting to hear how transportation is impacting people's life and the lack of transportation, from people not applying for jobs because they don't think they can get to those locations.
Yeah.
I was just at a job fair in Greensburg about a month ago, and I talked with a woman who was looking for work, and we were talking about how this program works, and she said, I had no idea that I could get out of my small geographic area and apply for jobs in other counties. I could apply for jobs in other cities. No idea.
Yeah. Yeah, and you guys help aid with that. You know, if somebody needs to go for a job opportunity or job interview, you can kind of ease some of that stress of knowing, you know, hey, here's another alternative way for me to have a ride.
Exactly. We work very closely with employers as well, because they're also going out and recruiting people. So
Yeah.
we're talking with them about how they can maybe add this information into the recruitment materials so people aren't selecting out of jobs before they even consider it.
Right.
And also taking a look at job seeker programs, like working with the local Career Link offices, working with job seeker groups, and working with people who are in the process of moving. And
Okay.
It's interesting, a lot of times we get phone calls from individuals after they've moved, and they bought their new place, or they moved into their apartment and they're getting settled, and then they go, now how am I going to get to my job?
Yeah.
Didn't think about that part. I really like the house, I like the location, but I don't know how to get to work. And occasionally we get people who actually call us ahead of time, and they're saying, now if I move to this point or this point, can I get there?
Yeah.
And so we're able to actually give people more than one report if they're interested in one or two different places to live, or one or two employers. We could say, if you work at this place, you've got a van pool and a carpool. If you work at this place, no.
Right. Yeah. So, talking about some of those connections you guys have, is there a way that people can check out employers that maybe work with you guys?
That's a really good question. We do have some employers that are listed on our website, but we can also take a look at the people who are commuting to those places from where they live. So sort of a reverse way of doing it.
Yeah.
But we can help people find other people who are working in those areas, and even more importantly, who may be working next door. They may not be working in the same building, but maybe they're working in the building down the street, and
Right.
still can share their ride to get there.
Yeah. And I'm sure, you know, through the years, communication for you guys has changed a lot. And you said you've been around for how long, the organization?
Over 40 years.
Over 40 years. So in that time period, the personal computer obviously has been around, and phones are now what everybody uses. So how have you seen that, like, accelerate and help the growth of CommuteInfo?
I think it's helped us become much more customer service
Yeah.
focused, because in the old days, and this was way before I was there,
Right.
I understand there were index cards, and trying to line people up and figure that out, which took a lot of time, and there were a lot of barriers to trying to make sure that the information was right and you were getting people together. So I think it's allowed us to help a lot more people,
Yeah.
and it's allowed us to give them better information.
Yeah. And I imagine that the outreach is greater. You know, the amount of people you can reach through the internet is much greater.
It is much greater, and we're always looking for opportunities like this to be able to come out in the community, because despite all of those opportunities, we still have that challenge of people saying, I didn't even know that existed. So
Right.
I'm hoping there's some people out there today that are having that very experience.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody sitting at home that says, "Hey, my ride to work is stressful. It's, I have nobody to ride with, and it puts a burden on me financially." There's a great way to help with CommuteInfo.
And sometimes we hear from people that say, if I get my husband to do this, I can have the car during the day.
Yeah, that's
So we
a
get
good
those
one.
kind of calls too.
So if I was one of those people sitting at home today, saying, well, I'd really like to try out possibly a carpool to work or something like that, how easy and quick is it to set up?
It's as easy and quick as it is for you to get in touch with us. So as soon as you get in touch with us, we're working on getting you the information. And from there, we recommend that you set up a time to have a call with somebody or email with them so that you get to know a little bit more about them. What route do they travel? Where do you want to meet to share your ride? And to make some arrangements to get started. And I think one of the things that I forgot to mention earlier that we offer as a resource as well is that we have an inventory of all of the park and rides in the region.
Oh, okay.
And the park and rides are really critical because there are places where some of them transit picks up there, but at other places people can meet and have these carpools and van pools get started. So on our website, we have the 10 counties and we have all of the different park and rides, and each one has its own fact sheet. It'll have a picture. It will have directions to and from. It will tell you a little bit about it, how many spaces, what kind of amenities. Mm-hmm. And then if there's transit service, it will tell you which transit operator provides the service and which routes. And if you're able to access that information on the computer, you can hyperlink back and forth and open the schedule, see what's there, and being able to know when the next bus is going to arrive.
Wow. So that's pretty awesome that you guys have that whole list of things up there. I guess a question that came to me that I was thinking of is, I sign up for CommuteInfo and I go on my first carpool, and let's say maybe the person I'm riding with isn't, we're just not compatible people. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you guys run into that all the time. How do you guys address situations like that?
Well, the first thing we do is we encourage people to talk ahead of time so that they kind of get to know if they're going to like that person or not ahead of time. But it doesn't always work, and it's different when you're in a small space with them for
Right.
a long period of time. And the really nice part about this is you're not committed to anything. So if you take that ride and you go, oh, this is not for me, then let us know. We'll find some other person that you can talk to and find a different arrangement that works for you.
Yeah, it seems to me that customer service is your guys' number one thing, like helping people get to where they need to be.
It's all about connections, and it's all about trying to help individuals find out what choices are available for them.
Yeah, and so speaking of customers and all those things, I'm sure you've had your share of cool stories. You mentioned the wedding story earlier. Mm-hmm. What's just a fun testimony kind of thing that you've seen just through working?
Well, probably the most unusual one is a phone call we had on our toll-free line from a truck driver, from an 18-wheeler truck driver, who said, you need to promote your service more because I need these cars out of my way. I guess he was stuck in traffic and was feeling frustrated and said, well, if every one of those people in front of me were sharing the ride, there'd be half as much traffic. Right. And I could get to where I need to go to finish my ride. Right. But we get calls every day from individuals who, have different things that they're dealing with. Some people are looking to share a ride because they're looking to save costs. Some people are trying to get to their job because they're trying to feed their families, and they're trying to do different things. And it's just a variety of the individuals that contact us. But transportation is just one piece of the puzzle. And if we can help put people in touch with some options and help them with that piece of it, sometimes it'll help some of those other parts and other issues that they're dealing with. Right.
Well, we're just about out of time here. Lisa, do you have any other final thoughts for people sitting at home saying, hey, I really want to try out this CommuteInfo thing. I'd love to find out more about it.
Well, first I want to thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
And I think as a final point, I'd like people to know that it's easy to find out what your options are. And it may not be as difficult. The whole process is what you think, and it really can have some benefits in your life. So I encourage you to find out what the choices are and to give it a try even one time a week, twice a week, and see if it can work for you.
Well, thank you so much. And Lisa from CommuteInfo, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to put some CommuteInfo graphics up on the screen for you guys to check out and get in touch. And hopefully your next ride to work will be in a carpool.
Awesome.
So thank you so much for joining us,
Thank
and
you.
stay tuned for more Public Awareness Weekend.